My heart skips a beat. And when I turn...
Kylie?
Oh god! Oh god! Kylie's been possessed! Kylie's been possessed! I don't know how or why, but this is the thing that's happening now. Greetings, my beautiful viewers. I am the Hunter of Comedy, and welcome back to The Letter. So, last time, Rebecca got to kick, Luke in the balls. He was a dick because he was being a, he was being a dickbag, but he wasn't, like, being a dickbag maliciously or on purpose. Also, we know that Isabella is definitely still working on, like, trying to figure out what's going on with everyone, and it seems like, she's working with Ashton to try and, get everything figured out, although Rebecca doesn't know that yet, because that'll cause more jealousy later on. Oh, joy. So, let us move on, and I can't remember where we're at. I think we were making a choice, but I don't remember. Oh, right. Oh, God. I'm pretty sure no matter what I do, I'm gonna piss him off. You're good at handling her, or you really think that? Oh. I think that this is the nicer thing to say? I don't know. I'm on thin ice with him. I don't want to fuck this up, but I think I'm gonna. Yeah! Okay, good! I made a good choice. Okay. Alright. Oh, well, regardless of how he acts, it's not like it'll have an impact on anything between us. I've no plans of getting too friendly with the man, though he might have some good points, emphasis on might. The best treatment I can hope myself to give him is to stop thinking of him as a sleazy douche. Besides, after seeing that look on him, I figure someone like him can use a little compliment here and there. He probably doesn't get it much considering how coarse his own language can get.
Can't you act a wee bit polite for even a second of your life? It won't kill you. You'll easily get answers that way, you know? Instead of demanding things from people like a temperamental man-child.
I'll be nice when I want to be, woman. Don't tell me what to do.
And here I was just thinking how you're doing a brilliant job as Kylie's guardian. Was I mistaken?
Was I mistaken?
Oh god, that was great.
What? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Stop playing dumb. I hate to admit it, but you actually seem to be good with kids. Possibly even better than most of the teachers here. What do you know?
I've expected him to just take it all in, bloat his ego more, and even brag about it. Instead, what I get from him is a sound resembling a squawk. Or maybe that's him choking on his own pride. I can't tell above the hubbub surrounding us. When I glance at him, only a mortified expression is on his face.
No.
Oh, jeez.
No? You should be proud of yourself. At least there's this one good thing about you. Isn't that nice to hear? Pretty sure not a lot of compliments get thrown around about you, knowing how you are.
There are a lot of good things about me, Daisy. My hair, for one. There's also my extraordinary good looks.
Oh.
Wax lyrical about those all you want. I'd be happy to hear it any day.
I'm sure you would, douche nozzle.
Praise anything about me but that.
What is so repulsive about it? Even Kylie likes you. Shouldn't that tell you anything about yourself?
Kylie is one kid, not even my own. Trust me, you do not want to see me bring a spawn of my own into this world. It will be an abomination.
Is that what you keep telling yourself?
Maybe. Is it any of your business?
No. But if I didn't know any better, I'd say this is because you yourself think you're a little piece of shite and somehow it'll pass on. It doesn't work like that, by the way.
The last remark just came out. There might be a sliver of truth in it, but I shouldn't have phrased it like that. Even for my own standards, or the kind of person I'm talking to, it's still quite rude. An apology is already at my throat, but the minute I open my mouth, all of what I prepared myself to say dissipates. Lost the moment in front of me. He has turned his gaze outside, staring at some point past the buildings, blocking the view of the sky, equally lost in his thoughts. He's a vexing man, under so many standards. However, in this moment, the morning light streaming from the window lends his features to a certain air. Softer, less severe than he often flaunts. I might as well be looking at a different man. There's a tender note in his voice when he finds it, the words muttered under his breath, not intended for anyone but himself. Nevertheless, it reaches my ears, unintentional as it may be.
You're right. She deserves someone far better than me.
Oh, I get it. The reason, Luke definitely feels guilty over the fact that he sleeps around and everything, and he thinks that his wife deserves better than him. And you know what? Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. The thing about it is that there's no way to know, you know? No way to really know for certain, what's best for other people until you really get down to it, you know? All that talk about self-worth makes some sense now. It isn't some profound knowledge he pulled out of his arse. It has come out because he's already been there, likely still stuck in the middle of it. Preaching about your own personal experience is easier after all. Less room for mistakes, more for a dose of self-loathing. What a complicated man. Just when you thought you've already figured him out, he does one thing and says the other. People like him are the most difficult to gauge, far harder to understand. Yeah, because here's the thing. I still think that Luke is like a douchebag. He's a douchebag and he's a son of a bitch. But he's not a bad person. I think that he's an infuriating person, but I wouldn't call him necessarily like a bad person per se. Or at the very least, he's not irredeemable. He's definitely not irredeemable. Yet, it might be exactly for this reason why some are so easily charmed by him. It's the mystery that catches them, of wanting to find out what's underneath that bravado. I won't count myself among those, yet. His winning personality isn't exactly my cup of tea. But sometimes, once you get a glimpse of what's beyond the machismo, emphasizing with the man isn't such a steep hill to climb. If the comfortable silence we share now tells anything, that is. Perhaps this is as close a friendship as we can get. Several insults flung about with a few shared silences in between, and that's not exactly a bad thing. He's not exactly a bad guy either, despite the awkward start we've had. Maybe it's for this reason that I can't resist throwing in a little comment to lift his mood before leaving him.
You know, Luke, you're not such a bad person.
Is that supposed to make me feel better? I'm touched, Daisy.
Take it how you will. But a little attitude change would help. A lot.
Ah, bollocks. Right, of course. Let me know when you're done with your lecture, ma'am.
And you can probably start by not leaving your wife out while you're having some quality time with your goddaughter. Who knows? Maybe that'll help change how the child sees her.
Where did you even get the idea I'm leaving my wife out? Have you ever even met?
No, but I did see her with you two last time.
His indifferent expression quickly devolves into a confused scowl while I meet it with a matching perplexity. It's only been 2 days. Surely his memory isn't that bad.
What? When was this?
At the cafe. After you left, she was sitting right beside you. Kylie was at the back and you were driving.
Daisy, are you sure you haven't accidentally hit yourself with your own book? Because that damn thing's quite thick. and I'm really getting worried about you.
Okay, here's the thing. I did not think I was gonna... The game is making me like Luke. I don't want to like Luke. He's a douche nozzle. But god damn it, he's growing on me. Why are you growing on me, you son of a bitch? I shouldn't like you. I shouldn't like you at all because you're a son of a bitch. An adulterating son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. He's a son of a bitch. But at the very least, he's not a complete and total asshole. He seems genuinely concerned, and that's good.
It has only been a few days, and concussions can be dangerous. I suggest you have that checked.
Well, you asked. I just answered. It's pretty rude to make her wait like that, by the way.
How can I make her wait when she's not even with us?
What?
It was just Kylie and I that night.
Now you're just pulling my leg.
Luke exhales, long and drawn out, his impatience rapidly changing the companionable air about us. That's a strange word. In the face of it, I tense. I accidentally stepped into another minefield. Any chat I've had with him so far has been like this. Why this still surprises me escapes me. But above my worries of offending the man is my own bewilderment. I remember well enough what I saw that night, yet he says something completely different.
Wifey was out with Kylie's mummy that night. She wasn't with us. How do you think I ended up on babysitting duty?
But in the front seat. And Kylie's... Miss Pink!
Kylie's sobs reach my ears, and then a familiar weight returns around my waist again. Hot tears steep through my blouse as she buries her face in it, her arms winding tightly around me. Luke and I briefly exchange worried glances, his own lips shut tight with concern. Her cries are soft enough not to attract much attention. Most of the visitors have been ushered inside the rooms by now anyway. Those that still linger, though, watch our little group with great interest and concern. If I don't get a better handle of the situation, I have a feeling Luke will start yelling at everyone soon. Kneeling, I gently pull the girl away from me, cupping her face and wiping away tears, creating little trails on her cheeks. Her mouth is drawn in a miserable pout when she peers up at me.
All right, Kylie. Calm down. What happened? It's my friend.
That's a little too vague, Munchkin.
Let her speak, Luke. Who is it, Kylie? Melody? Or was it the other one? Yeah. Did the two of you fight?
She nods, then immediately clams up after, letting her sobs communicate the story instead, as much as her shaking shoulders can tell me. Right behind me, Luke gives a nervous huff, while he shifts on his feet. He must not be used to handling children crying. What a wuss.
Sweetie, I won't be able to help you if you don't tell me what happened.
Seconds pass before she responds again. The tears are already gone when she finally musters the strength to talk, her cries subsiding to mere sniffles.
I wanted to give her the rest of the jelly babies, but she won't come out.
Where? Where is she?
In the little girl's room.
Is she still there?
Another nod.
She won't say what's wrong. I kept asking her, but she told me to go away. Career day's going to start soon. I saw the prizes Miss Alice will give us for good. She's gonna miss it.
Is that what you told her?
Yeah, she won't listen. She won't even take the jelly babies. After I saved it for her, too. She and Luke wanted to eat the red ones, but I told them it's not for him. Miss Pink, can you talk to her? Tell her to come out, and I'm really upset with her.
Ah. Just a little childish argument, then. Times like this, I'm glad I teach teenagers mature enough for petty squabbles. I do love being around children, and wouldn't mind having one or two of my own in the future. But it takes a whole different level of patience to teach several of them. I honestly admire my colleagues who willingly take the challenge. Normally, I'd leave this for their homeroom teacher to fix, but I can't just ignore the imploring look she shoots me. There's another weakness I'll have to steel myself against before I ever think of having one of my own. For now, I give in to it.
Okay, tell me where she is, sweetie.
Sighing, I stand up and gesture for her to lead the way. Luke trails quietly behind us. Oh god, I have such a bad feeling. Luke was seen attending career day at St. Giretti High School for his goddaughter, where he met Rebecca again. Minutes later, a sobbing Kylie interrupted their conversation to report a friend crying in the little girl's room. Even with the small distance in between, his apprehension is palpable, understandably so. No one wants to be caught in the middle of a child's spat. But in the end, this is just all part of my job. I can't just shy away from it, can I? Kylie escorts us to an adjacent hall. At this hour, the corridor and rooms lining its sides are empty. Save for the gentle rustling of leaves, the twittering of birds outside, and the tapping of our feet against the floor, the whole area sounds eerily quiet. Not unusual, though. This is the part of the building reserved for club activities at the end of the day. And with the rest of the school busy with another event, it's only natural for it to be this deserted. Come afternoon, right after class, it'll once again be filled with people. For the time being, I focus on the toilets at the far end, heading straight for it. Luke stays behind, opting to wait for an end to this drama instead, obviously not wanting to deal with another person's kid. Meanwhile, Kylie follows right after me, usually silent as we approach the ladies' room. Some time before we made the turn down the alley, she stopped sniffling and started singing a tune under her breath.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady.
Dear God. Probably to brace or calm herself, or maybe this is her way of preparing to pull a friend out of her sulk. It certainly reminds me of another person. I make no remarks on it, however. It's all part of growing up, they say. Let her learn. The door is silently ajar when we get there, and from inside, the sobs of a girl echo weakly, barely audible enough in this kind of hush. That sounds like the crying lady. Oh, no, please, no. Turns out Kylie's not the only one upset about this. Despite the situation, a smile forms on my lips as I call out to her friend.
Hello? Hello there? You're Kylie's friend, aren't you? Melody, is it? She's looking for you.
Children can be so amusing sometimes. Granted, they can be exasperating, especially around this age, but the endearing things about them outweigh those. All you need is enough level of patience.
Career day's about to start, too. You'll have to come out, or you're going to be really late for it. Miss Alice won't be happy if one of her kids isn't there. I heard she brought little gifts for everyone who'll behave. Don't you want to receive one?
However, her cries show no signs of abating. They only get louder. Not close to a wail. Alarming regardless.
Are you okay?
No! I'm not doing... Oh, her, no. I don't know. Everything seems bad right now. From where I'm standing, it almost sounds like she's in some kind of pain. And it's not impossible. They do that at times, hiding what ails them for fear of a reprimand. If it's like that, coaxing her out might be useless. It also makes sense why she chose the loo furthest from their classroom. Wasting no time, I gesture for Kylie to wait and amble towards the door, calmly, so I don't alert her. At the same time, a distinct sense of deja vu hits me. I've been in this situation before, behind a door, with someone crying on the other side, my calls ignored as their cries grow into a wail. Just this past week, actually. Even so, being in the same situation doesn't bring any comfort. I'm putting up for the child beside me, is the thick undercurrent of my worry trickling into my stomach. Oh God, no! I take at least one breath and I nudge open the door. It all happens in the span of a second. I don't make it past 2 steps into the room. Her cries abruptly stop. My footsteps shuffle behind me, coming to a halt at the door. My heart skips a beat. And when I turn...
Kylie?
Oh god! Oh god! Kylie's been possessed! Kylie's been possessed! I don't know how or why, but this is a thing that's happening now.
Miss Pink? Miss Pink? Why didn't you help her?
My whole body becomes motionless at the sight of her. Words catching in my throat and heart pounding rapidly against my chest. This is Kylie, I'm sure of it. Yet nothing in the manner she speaks, or the way she tilts her head in question, carries the youthful, innocent vibe she always brings with her. As if I'm merely looking at a dead, hollow imitation of a child.
Can't you hear her? She's asking for your help.
But it is not those that trigger a memory. It's those chilling eyes. It's like, she looks like the Joker right now. Or maybe like Harley Quinn, but still like fucking creepy, man. Calling. Beckoning.
Why won't you listen to her?
All at once the memory returns to me. A tide that has receded and now returns to shore with an overwhelming force, carrying images of a single moment from days ago. Of a world passing by in a blur, of the features I can barely discern from the little light there was. Not even a week has passed. In this minute, while I keep my eyes trained on the child before me, they return with such unbearing clarity. There are no horrid wounds this time. No blood streaming down a pale face, thank heavens. Just lips contorted into a small, twisted smile. They brim with venom I'm never expected to see in a child, sending tiny pinpricks of dread crawling up my limbs and winding up my neck. Okay, why is it that the lines that they really need a voice are like missing only in Rebecca's section here? You're a bad person. People like you deserve to die. I can't breathe. Oh, those whispers and laughters again. Judging, mocking, taunting. Each scathing word rings sharp and true against my ears. My throat closes in. My whole body tenses. A chill settles at the tips of my fingers, every digit gone rigid from the cold. With every single draw of breath, any struggle for air or freedom, coils wrapped around my body tightened, dragging me down. Gradual, tormentous descent into another bottomless abyss.
Help!
On, and on, and on, until I lose touch with myself and the world.
Help me!
Until darkness claims me and, unexpectedly, a note. In the distance, harsh and piercing, cutting through the thick stupor and shattering the haze without warning.
Are you ladies done with your business here? I don't have all morning to wait for you two.
My eyes snap open and the world shifts into place with a ragged gasp. Oh my god, Luke saved her life! He did something good! Good job, Luke! When I glance up, a different set of eyes greet me.
Are you okay, Miss Pink?
No anger. No vile hatred in them. Just plain, sincere concern. Bit by bit, I become aware of my surroundings, and myself as warmth steadily slips back to me. I've reached out for the nearby counter to steady myself at some point, and my knuckles have gone white from how rigid my grip on it is. It's over now, yet the tension hasn't left my body. My head still hammers hard against my chest in a erratic rhythm, and my breathing still comes in short, shallow bursts. Before me, Kylie fumbles with her hands, utterly unsure of what to do to an adult in what's probably a laughable state.
Did you get sick? I'll call Tio, okay? Stay here and don't move.
No. No need. Just leave me alone.
Tio will know how to fix you. Oh, wait, okay?
I wish I can speak reassurances to her, but I can't shake it off. The dread is there, twisting at my insides in anticipation. Of what? I am no longer sure. Pushing myself off the counter, I break into a run. Brushing off the anxious look Kylie gives me when I gently push past her on my way out, with a furrow in Luke's brow when I stumble into him outside. Whatever they both saw in my face, I care not to know. Bloody hell, I don't even understand what's happening anymore. Well, that was abrupt. The tremors continue long after the last of my classes have ended. Although none of my students have commented on it, I've caught a few sharing anxious glances every time a pen slips from my hand. From my hand should be my hand, or my shoulders tense whenever called. How unusual it must be for them to see the normally composed Miss Gales become a bundle of nerves. Even the most boisterous ones have given me less grief today. And you'd think being on my 4th cup of tea would provide any sort of comfort. Or is this the 5th? Egad, why does counting matter now? The fact that I can't easily shake it off this time should tell me something. Last time this happened, I passed it off as I passed it off as some lapse in my part, after having been sick the week before.
And it is a natural conclusion.
Those are just stories. Centuries-old lore passed down by the locals to keep children in line. What place doesn't have those? One of my dad's books went as far as to describe them as a strong part of Isabella's culture. Tree giants, women who feed on unborn children straight from a mother's womb, or hell, there's even that one story about a demon baby. All folklore that never had a smidgen of truth in it, most probably told to scare off the natives there back in the days. Much like every other one in every other place. The world is more universal than people care to think. But looking at it from where I'm standing now, after staring straight into the eyes of that woman, after all the things I've been hearing and feeling, perhaps there's more to that bloody letter than some awful Halloween prank.
Perhaps Isabella's right all along.
Terrible thing if true. Though, that thought doesn't linger long, thankfully. Soon, the ringing of my mobile takes my attention away from me. An unfamiliar name flashes before me once the screen lights up and my brows knit together. Marianne McCulloch. Staring hard at the screen, I try to remember when I've entered this person on my contact list. It does take a moment, but then it clicks. My eyes zeroed in on the book lying wide on my table. Loaned out from the library almost a week ago. I met the woman there by sheer coincidence, a history buff apparently. We were after the same book, but in the end, she's given it to me under the condition that I call her once I am done. To be honest, I've completely forgotten about it until now, and, well, I haven't really taken a peek at it until today. Normally, I'd be done with the whole volume of this size a few days after taking it out, a day or two, depending upon how busy I am. Finding a chance to sit down and read through it has been more difficult lately than I anticipated. One moment I'm busy grading worksheets, attending a movie premiere next, and then someone suddenly inviting me out for one reason or another. Days later, a friend stops showing up in her flat right after worrying reports pop up in local news. There simply isn't enough time to breathe and get a grip on things. I had been flipping through the pages of the book moments ago, though never really reading anything and merely hoping for a distraction. To no avail. My phone gives out another ring, and this time, I do not hesitate to answer.
Marianne?
Hello! Here I was starting to wonder if it was a bad time to call. Is it?
No, not at all. I dismissed my last class a few minutes ago. I'm pretty much free for the rest of the afternoon, unless something comes up. Is this about last time? The book?
Not really. I was hoping to ask you about some other thing.
Oh, sure. What about?
You grew up in this city, didn't you?
It's a peculiar question to ask to someone you've just met, but I answer her nevertheless. I'm more curious where she's heading with this by starting with that.
Born and raised. 3rd generation migrant. Why do you ask?
So, you must be familiar with the local lore. The, stories?
Quite. If I'm going to teach about history, I'd like to think I am, yeah? But a family friend would be a better person to ask. If you want, I can contact him for you.
No, let's just keep this thing between us, okay? Alright. I really don't know how else to put this without sounding a bit crazy. But things have been really, odd. Do you remember the mansion I mentioned back when we met? My current project?
In hindsight, I should have expected it'll lead to this. She must not have lived here long if she's just asking about it now. It didn't take a week with Isabella when she arrived, and that's Isabella! Superstitious down to the last hair. Though it won't be too far off to think Marianne has only started thinking about this recently. She's working on the damn house itself. I must admit, even I'm curious, despite living here for so many years and having so many chances to look it up before.
The Ermengarde mansion, yes?
Yes, that one. And, the thing is... Oh dear, this is a bad idea. You know what? Just forget I ever called you about this.
Must have been the sunny weather. Makes me sick and see stupid things. Again! Why is sunny weather bad? I don't understand! Normally people complain about the rain, not the sun! What's up with this? See things?
No, wait. It's all right. I don't mind.
There's a moment's pause before she responds again. She's right in that this is a silly thing to ask about, especially between what I assume two people who are pretty grounded on their beliefs with regards to these things. I won't blame her if she hesitates.
I can't believe I'm asking you about this.
It's fine. Why don't you just think of it as some form of research?
Well, alright. But after this, we're going to forget we ever had this talk.
My lips will be sealed. Now, what is it about the mansion?
Just, what do you know about it? The general gist. The place's past. What happened to the owners? Anything you can give me.
Let's see. To start off,
I do my best to give her a concise summary from the time the house was commissioned 400 years ago and who had it built. Up to the point it got deserted after the last heir's death, and the deed was passed on to the Ermengarde's nearest relatives. Frankly, if it weren't for those urban legends persisting, the house would have already faded into obscurity long ago. Demolished, even. Those are all nothing she probably hasn't heard of before, yet there's dissatisfaction in her tone once I finish.
That's all there really is to it?
as far as I know, there's this little bit I forgot to mention about Lady Charlotte Ermengarde's death, but most of those are just theories. Aside from that, this is really everything we've been teaching all these years. Should there be anything more?
No mention of any other weird stuff? Other crazy stories? Or a letter of some sort?
My blood runs cold. Any warmth and comfort the tea I've drank has given me prior has instantly been drained out of me. The phone creaks softly as my light hold on it turns into a firm grip. This whole letter bullshit is starting to turn into more than a coincidence.
None that I've heard or read of. What does a letter have to do with this?
Oh, no. It was just something I came across. Ignore it. Random thoughts, you know? By the way, I need to run. Thanks for answering my questions.
She ends the call abruptly with only a clipped goodbye, leaving my mind heavy with even more thoughts. The mood around my classroom has gone considerably denser in light of what I've gleaned from that conversation. I don't think Marianne's lying about her intent. Her interest is genuine, I'll give her that, but she's left a lot of things out. I get the sense she only asked because something's happening around her too. If she hadn't mentioned the letter, I probably would have made the connection.
Just what the hell did we get ourselves into?
Okay, so something else happened here. Okay. After the strange encounter at the little girl's room, Rebecca tried to remain composed throughout the day. As her classes ended, she received a phone call from Marianne McCulloch, who asked unusual things about the Ermengarde mansion. Okay. Of course, there's still a lot of confusing details in this. All of these are just assumptions. No concrete conclusion to be formed that with what we have. And if we want to find out what we're dealing with, I think Marianne's right. There might be something more to these stories. As absurd as it sounds, the very place that gave us that letter might tell us something beyond what we know. And tomorrow night, I have a few hours of that chance at a housewarming party. Totally not an exciting thought, since the place is privately owned now. I just can't wander around. But it's enough reason to keep the dread away as I step out of the room, ready to put an end to this day. However, all those good vibes disappear into thin air when I run headfirst into Luke. There's really something in this man. Regardless of how much my opinion of him has changed over the span of a few hours, he simply blasts through blasts through every good impression people have of him without care or thought. Doesn't even need to open his mouth, his mere presence does it. In all honesty, I think he's the kind of guy only a mother can love.
You're still here?
Obviously. Who do you think standing in front of you?
A ghost. Kill it with fire.
An ass?
Ha ha ha!
Oh, come on, Daisy. You've done better than that. Losing your touch?
Luke, I don't have time for this. I'm heading home, and your face is the last thing I want to see before I leave. What do you want?
Belatedly, I notice his hand. Partly raised, almost poised for a knock. At a slight lift of an eyebrow, he quickly drops it to his side and turns to Kylie. She's standing a few steps from him, holding her hands behind her back and toeing at something at the floor with the tip of her shoe. Then he proceeds to make vague gestures at me and the child. He resembles a fish flopping for air when he's moving his arms, though I think he's trying to urge her to speak up.
Munchkin, I thought you wanted to tell her something.
You do it, Tio.
This wasn't my idea, darling.
Don't worry. I won't tell Tia what you told me the other day. And this morning.
Luke exhales, rolling his eyes to the ceiling, and maybe praying for the universe to grant him more patience. He knows a losing battle when he sees one. He may act worse than a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum at times, but he's no match for an actual child. Nothing better than being served a dose of his own medicine, huh? Once his frustration has been promptly let out, he points a rude finger at me. I do my best to stare the offending digit down, but I can already hear the demand before it's even out of my lips.
You, come with us.
What makes you think I will?
Because little Rugrat here is upset and worried, and it's your bloody fault. I've no idea what happened this morning, but if you don't come with us, I won't be hearing the end of it from her. So do me a favor, Daisy, and just be glad I'm inviting you.
You're asking for a favor, and you can't be bothered to be polite? I don't know. It's been a really busy day for me. I kind of miss my couch.
Daisy, you just say yes.
A pause follows, almost too dramatic. Afterwards, his face switches to something between a grimace and a smile. As it happens, he appears like he's in a lot of physical pain. You'd think the man is getting an aneurysm by simply being polite.
Please?
Tio said it'll be his treat.
What? I said no such thing, Munchkin. I only agreed to this because you requested it. I'm under no obligation to feed her.
I promise I'll be quiet the next time I visit.
Oh, all right, but just one meal and make it the cheapest.
He and Ashton will get along famously on that department. Ah! On a different note, the offer of free food does sound exciting, however half-hearted given it is. Mostly because Kylie has wisely put on her puppy eyes, and by the second, I find all my choices slipping away from me.
See, Miss Pink? It'll be fun. You don't have to feel sad anymore, okay?
Oh, well,
My mobile buzzes from my pocket, cutting me mid-sentence, and for a second, I'm spared from the act of giving an answer I'll regret either way. Fishing out the gadget, I wave a hand at him and excuse myself, a disgruntled expression on Luke's face before I turn away. I'd be lying if I didn't say it amused me. He's as eager to be done with this as I am, but what can I do? Checking, a message from Ashton shows up. Hey Becca, I'll be around Salemwell this evening. Need to meet someone in the area. I might have to drop by yours and Isabel's place later. See ya. Just the usual. Unlike what he does to Zachary, Ashton has the decency to let us know when he's dropping by or he's in the area for some business. From the way it's phrased, it sounds to be the latter. Either way, I'm glad he's at least aware of that boundary. Not that Isabella's ever going to let him leave the building unscathed if he ever pulls the same stunt he does with the other man. I cringe to imagine what she'll do to him. Sighing, I slip the gadget back to my pocket. But looking up to see Luke's utter impatience on his face, I now face a different dilemma. The two of them are still waiting, and knowing the kind of person Luke is, this is already a grand gesture of goodwill coming from him. All to please his godchild. His denials aside, it's easy to tell he's really fond of Kylie from his actions alone. I kinda hate to ruin that.
Well, Daisy, we're waiting here.
On the other hand, there's Ash. His message didn't exactly imply he's going to wait, or he's expecting me to be there, but there are matters I hope to discuss with him in person, to put it simply. Housewarming party matters. With inviting Isabella out of the question, I only have Zachary and Ashton. Although the former has already made it clear he'll be busy this week, and well, Ashton has been my first choice from the start. Even if he detests gatherings like this. It's company that counts. We can be miserable together. But that's the problem, isn't it? He hates them. It's very likely his answer will be a flat no. I'd rather not hear that. If, by some miracle, he'll agree to it, he'll probably be sulking the whole party. Not really a tough choice when you put it like that. Still. Oh, why? Oh my god. I am using up so many save slots. Oh no. Oh boy. Will my relationship with Ash go down if I do this? Okay, here's the thing. If my relationship with Ashton goes down over this, I'm going back and picking the other decision. Nope. Okay, we're good. We are good, because I was like, I think she'll go with them. In the end, my fondness for Kylie wins out. Chances are, I'll only have to endure his presence for an hour or so. If it lasts more than that, I can make up an excuse, a sudden call from a friend, or things to work on. It doesn't seem so bad when I think about the pros and cons. At best, it'll be a quiet dinner. At worst, it'll be an awkward affair we're both eager to be rid of. I'm leaning more on the latter happening. Hoping for the former, of course.
Okay, but only because Kylie asked.
Kylie's face instantly lights up. For the third time today, she tackles me into a hug and before pulling away and dragging me by the hand towards the building's exit.
That's alright. I'm sure Tio doesn't mind. He let me pick where we're going to eat. Don't worry, it's just close.
She looks really smug like that, just like I know what to do. Oh god, I love it, it's adorable. Luke follows closely behind, perhaps out of some desire to keep the dead air away. I can't resist throwing in a quip.
Keep your distance. You better not do anything funny, you hear?
I'm the one who should keep my distance. May I remind you who approached me first and what you did right after?
Oh, I remember it clearly. But perhaps it's you who needs a reminder. You seem to have never learned your lesson. Care we give it another try?
Yeah, kick him in the balls again. I will enjoy that.
Maybe this time it'll stick.
Maybe this time it'll stick. You think your scary mouth show you what's scaring?
To my surprise, his tone lacks the usual sardonic note in it, and briefly I pause to stare at him. He quickly shuts his mouth right after and walks ahead of us. All talk and no trousers like the usual. He's not wearing trousers. That's some information I didn't need to know. And for the better part of our walk, except for Kylie's excited chatter, we don't speak. Somehow I have a strange feeling I'm already getting used to this kind of banter with him. I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing. And amidst this newfound friendship, dare I call it that? Ashton's message lays forgotten and abandoned in my pocket. I want to see what exactly it said. Okay, so it doesn't say. Dang it. All the places nearest the school, Kylie picked this one, and waiting for food to be served is awkward as I've imagined it would be. Not the bad sort, though. The pleasant kind. Surprisingly, Luke's an okay bloke when he tries. When he tries. So long as you're willing to look past the tactless remarks, or we're not exchanging acerbic quips? I've never seen that word before. It's clear he's making an effort for this to be as fun as possible for the 6-year-old. By being chattier, even going so far as to laugh when Kylie's story calls for it. An interesting thing to hear from the man. More than once, I catch his frequently cheesed-off expression easing whenever he looks at the girl.
And your friend? Did you make up with her?
Yep. She said she just saw something she didn't like. She didn't accept the jellies, though. She told me to give it to you instead. She knows you like the red ones, too.
Very well. Hand it to me later. I'll bring some of them home. I think your Tia would love to have some.
What a terrible liar. He says he dislikes the idea of having children of his own, but it's easy to see some part of him genuinely wants them. What's stopping him? Nothing. He's already got several women pregnant. He's doing not good, but I mean, like, it's a thing. Once Kylie wanders to the nearby bookshelves, after having lost interest in the conversation, however, we revert back to silence. On our own, we have little to talk about, aside from a few questions about the other here and there. At one point, it does veer on local politics and history. He's surprisingly versed with that, and he can hold a decent conversation without throwing a jibe. Nothing too personal is ever mentioned so far, though. It's too early for those, and besides, I don't like him enough to speak of every minute detail of my life. Better keep it strictly between the silence and the casual repartee. This whole thing already looks and feels wrong on so many levels. Not quite sure he feels the same. So, when another bout of silence hits us and becomes too much, I've taken to finding something else to occupy myself. Toying with my mobile. Turning it from hand to hand while we wait for our respective meals. But it'll be a complete lie if I say I'm not waiting for some intervention. Something to pull me away from this place. Someone! Ashton's probably at Salem well by this time, working on whatever business he has there. Maybe if I make it an excuse and leave now, I can still catch him.
Cut that out, it's distracting.
My hand stills, holding the gadget awkwardly between us, arrested mid-pass by his bored tone. He's been quiet for a long minute now, after complaining about how appalling the tea they're serving here is. Before that, he has whined about how uncomfortable his chair is, and how tasteless the decorations they have here. Previous to that, he also griped about how dull the place is, compared it to the one he frequents at the upper class side of the city. Well, I'm sorry for being a bunch of peasants, your majesty! Figures he'll lose his patience soon, having already grumbled about almost everything his eyes can reach. It's just unfortunate he's turned to me now.
Why don't you just look somewhere else?
I can't. If I turn elsewhere, I might end up looking at the bobfuck right behind us.
Bob, do I even want to ask?
I don't even want to hear it. It's coming out of his mouth. It'll either be rude or offensive. Regardless, he continues.
Everything looks good. But have you seen the face? true horror.
What is wrong with you? You know, I frown about this in practice, but that mouth needs to be washed out with a particularly potent soap, preferably by your own mum.
A shame she isn't here,
For whatever reason, that puts an end to that talk right away. He returns to watching his godchild, where he has a particularly interesting picture book. Who has a particularly interesting picture book, and is now poring over it, while I turn back to my mobile. Still no message. Would it kill him to at least send a message, check if I were home? Meanwhile, Luke's silence lasts all but 3 seconds.
What is it with the damn mobile? Are you on a curfew?
He's got the immature act down pat, I'll give him that. Seriously, how old is this guy? Has he somehow been deprived of affection during childhood? Yes, it sounds like it.
And what is it to you? I don't think it's any of your business what I do with it.
It is my business, all right? 1, I'm the one paying here. 2, I'm being forced to eat dinner in a place this stuffed and noisy. Lastly, it's been 10 minutes, the food isn't here, and I'm hungry. What you're doing with the mobile is annoying and distracting, when the least you could do is keep things entertaining while I suffer.
That's your problem? Shouldn't you be more worried about how this entire affair looks to other people?
Oh, I didn't realize this was one. You move fast, Daisy. You could have informed me first, you know. Had I known, I would have taken you someplace nicer. Certainly the kind with better food and plenty of good wine.
Why did I ever think this was a good idea?
I didn't think it was a good idea, but I mean, I chose it, and I'm not going back on my choices, except for that one because I misunderstood what they were trying to say. That doesn't count.
Did it ever occur to you how inappropriate this might look to everyone?
Why should I care? It's only inappropriate if you make it out to be. Relax. I won't do anything to make your boyfriend angry. He doesn't even need to know we dined out. It'll be our dirty little secret.
He's not my boyfriend.
The words come out with more force than I've intended. By the time I realize my slip-up, my lips are already spread in a sneer. Wait, my lips? His lips! I read that wrong. Heat slowly crawls up my face.
Oh, so there is someone. You're so easy to read.
Briefly, his eyes search my face. I have no idea what he sees, nor do I care to know, but in the next second he barks out a laugh, displaying his amusement without reserve to everyone within earshot. In that moment, I know I flipped a switch in him somewhere and I've lost my chance to deny his assumptions. Do I even want to? Isn't that the reason why I've been so focused on my mobile? Waiting for another message for him? For a reason to dump this awkward meeting to go after him?
Look how mottled you are. Now the nickname makes more sense. Shy Miss Pink and her cute little crush. The color suits you, by the way. It matches the hair.
It's not a crush.
Classic denial. But in reality, you want him to be yours, and your every move is made to make him notice you. In fact, you don't want him to see you with another man in a non-professional capacity, because he might misinterpret it.
The same thing goes for you, doesn't it? Bloody, yours is even worse. What about your wife? Aren't you concerned she might misinterpret this?
Daisy, just because we tied the knot doesn't mean we have to be joined at the hip at every single opportunity.
Don't be ridiculous. Why else would you marry her if you don't want to be with her for the rest of your lives?
Because, Daisy, she also has other things she can do with her life and friends to spend time with. Granted, I don't like some of them, and I have a few of my own she utterly dislikes. But wifey doesn't have to know my every move. Nor do I hers. Do you know how boring that would be? To be with the same person for all hours of the day.
God.
Losing sleep over the mere fact they're not with you.
Oh, yeah, I have never felt that. Just, you know... God, I know that some people are like that. There are definitely people that, like, they always want to be in contact with and always be, like, joined at the hip with the person they care most about. But I mean, like, I am just not that type of person. I thought maybe I could be that type of person at one point, but I realized it made me miserable, so... Yeah, it's not an easy thing, all this love bullshit.
Or putting everything you have aside to please them? To have your whole world revolve around one person?
Aren't you just mistaking that for something else? Unlike you, there are other people here who don't share the same jaded outlook you have. Don't lump everyone together just because it didn't work out for you.
No, what he's saying actually makes a lot of sense. Human beings, when we get, very rarely, and I mean this, very rarely do you meet a husband and wife who truly love each other for their entire lives. Hardly ever do you have that. And I'm sorry if I offend any married couples out there, I really do. I'm not trying to, but I mean, my parents got a divorce when I was a kid, and I've seen a lot of people divorce, and I've done research on it, and I've tried to figure out why it happens. And it's simply that human beings, we fall in love, but then we fall out of love with someone. Whether it's time or something we didn't realize about them afterwards, you just don't know. Therefore, you never know. You just never know. And so, on this point, I'm sorry, I gotta agree with Luke. You don't want to be joined at the hip to the person that you're married to. You can still love them while going and doing your own thing. It's completely natural. I mean, I have some friends who are married that, if they spend too much time together, they're gonna go crazy. So, yeah, they spend a lot of their time apart, in the same home and everything. But yeah, when they do come together, it's nice. But, they definitely, people will definitely go crazy if they're around the same person for too long.
And you, my dear, are unexpectedly naive.
What's so naive about it? If you love each other, wouldn't you want to always see them, be with them? To have them focus solely on you? Maybe you haven't been loved enough.
Oh, it's that kind of thing for you, isn't it? The love is eternal, love is a strong emotion shite. A starry-eyed girl pining for her dashing Prince Charming?
It's true, she is.
What's next? Romantic confessions of love? A grand wedding on the beach? Dozens of spawns running around in some picturesque home in the suburbs? How quaint. Are you also expecting it's going to be sunshine and rainbows after? A happily ever after? Please.
What? I never once said... And is all of that such a bad thing to hope for?
Here's the thing, it's not bad to hope for that, but at the same time, it's very unrealistic. If you want that, you have to fight for it and you have to look for it. But in the end, if that's not what you want, then you can't force yourself to have that. I mean, forcing yourself to, care for someone else, or forcing yourself to try and be something you are not, is not going to help anyone. So, yeah, definitely, possible, but not something that I think everyone should hope for. The happy fairy tale ending, sadly, doesn't exist.
Woman, I've been married for 7 years, and I'm telling you, it's far from what you have in your pretty red head. Tell me, how long has this song and dance been going for you and your man? Maybe I am mistaken.
Averting my eyes from him is all I managed to do. What does his mere 7 years have compared to the 17 I've had with Ash? It's laughable he thinks those two are even comparable. Ash and I may have never moved past the boundaries of friendship, like what I'm hoping for years, but what we have isn't something anyone can scoff at. I've always been by his side, endured everything with him. I know him better than anyone. No matter what this man, this complete stranger says, I know there will always be a place for him beside me. And yet...
Come on, Daisy, that shouldn't be too hard. 3, 5, 8, 10, 20.
His words easily seep into my heart like sharp daggers, gradually picking apart everything I've been sure of. Despite myself, the doubt resurfaces and my defenses crumble right in front of me. It's no wonder he sees through me, and as expected, he ridicules it. Restrained, low and rumbling, a sharp sound striking the air around us amidst the murmur of people and the soft notes of music playing over our heads. His shoulders shake when his mirth becomes too much even for him. He reaches up a hand and presses it over his face, as if to hold his glee close to him.
Bloody bullocks, this is just brilliant. Oh, mother, why do I always keep running into these things? This day couldn't get any better. I think I'm gonna need a stiff drink after this.
He devolves into another fit of laughter, and when it subsides, what he has for me are more words. Scathing, each of them. The urge to run from here has never been this strong.
Is everything you said how you plan to act, if that man of yours ever ends up with you? Cling to him? Put him on a bloody pedestal? Let him become the center of your universe? Although with how long this seems to be going on, I think you've already done so. Marriage will just be icing on the top. Like some sort of reward for you, isn't it? For being a good, patient, loyal little girl all this time. Never looking at another man. He must have been having a grand time with someone pining over him this long. I'm a little envious, to be honest.
No, Ash is... I think he's too stupid to know. Or if he does know, he doesn't return her feelings, and so he doesn't say anything because he doesn't want to hurt her.
Maybe also a little surprised he hasn't suffocated from all your attention yet.
Laugh all about it if you want. It's not like you'll ever understand.
Luke falls silent. The ridicule in him is gone in an instant, and his eyes meet mine, sharp and imposing. A challenge, but I hold it against him with the same intensity, because if there's something I won't let his opinion trample on, it's this. What does he know? However, he's the first one who looks away, focusing his eyes back to where Kylie is, and for a moment I believe I've won. Until he draws a breath and turns back to me. The words he dropped next, though hushed, hang heavily in the distance between us.
You're right. I won't. But I do know not to mistake love for obsession, woman. They are not the same thing.
It rattles. Out of everything he said tonight, this is the one thing that twinges my heart. Maybe it's the manner he delivers it. The lack of conceit in his posture and underlying insult in the tone he takes. The remark is not meant to cut, merely to express a simple truth. This time, it's him who holds gaze against mine. There's some weird terminology in this. Another unspoken challenge, and I realize that, if this happened minutes before, I'd have already have an equally searing retort at the tip of my tongue. There's none. But the anger is there, wriggling at my insides, prodding at the uncertainties I've long kept. It isn't enough? Isn't it enough? We have the long years we've been together. We have the memories. Whenever he needs me, until all other people come in between us, I've always been the one there. The dedication and loyalty should mean something, shouldn't it? I've always been sure of it, that one day he'll see it for what it is. In spite of that, in this minute, under this man's scrutiny, my own heart wavers. I don't know what the best answer here is. God. My gut feeling tells me to go with, I don't need to answer that, but what right do you have also sounds like something she would say. I don't know. I'm doing really good with Luke. I don't really need to make it better, but at the same time, I want things to get better with Ashton. God, I have almost maxed out Luke. How did I do that? I'm not even trying to. However, those are for me to ponder on. This arse doesn't need to hear them, and neither is he entitled to them just because he dished out some profound-sounding wisdom no one asked for. So I look away, hoping my silence will be enough of an answer for him. And it is, for a moment. Up until warm, furious trickles prickle behind my eyes, stinging, begging for release. Along with every other frustration this dumb talk has built up in me. All because of this man. I hate him. I hate the fact that he has to be the one to see me in this sorry state. I'm already expecting another bark from him when his expression shifts. Except he panics. In the span of 3 seconds, his expression changes from indifferent to concerned to utter panic. It would probably be funny if I weren't so irked by the sight of his glycate bastard.
Hey, are you crying? Are you going to cry? Stop that right now, woman, or I'll...
Will you shut up?
He clams up almost before I can finish. Whether this is due to the sudden frustration of my voice or how I look, I pretend not to think of it. He seems like a deer caught in headlights with the way he's making himself smaller in his seat. But I'm still pissed. I'm tired, and if I can't punch him, I can at least scream at him.
You're an annoying bag of dick, you know
He's
that?
a bag of dick! Yes, he is a bag of severed dick! Why? Why did my brain go to that? God, that was from a Let's Play I saw years ago, like before Let's Plays were really a thing. Jesus, back when like 4-player podcasts were doing like Let's Plays before Let's Plays were popular. They talked about like a bag of severed dicks. Like, it's like this whole situation is a bag of dicks. This is a bag of severed dicks. I've used that joke before, too. Damn, I'm remembering it now. Huh. Small world.
If I hear another word from you, I'm sewing that bloody mouth shut myself.
It does the trick. Not to the effect I've hoped, but the moment I've stabbed at him, the stinging at the back of my eyes melts away, and a strange calm overcomes me. A fragile thing when found in the middle of a busy coffee shop. Nevertheless, it's appreciated considering it doesn't last. Immediately broken by the very person that put me in this state, with a few awkward pats to my shoulder. Done twice. Thrice. 4 times. And another. Until my patience runs out again and I'm pulling out the book from my bag, raising it threateningly overhead. It will surely dent his skull if it slams down at this height. Part of me wants to see that, but I restrain myself. He has the good sense to recoil, though. Shortly, he shrinks back to his seat and waves his hand in front of him in a gesture of surrender.
Watch that book, woman! I already warned you about your little threats. You don't want to see my brand of angry!
Then keep your hands to yourself!
All right, that's it, people these days. I swear you treat them nicely, and this is where it gets me.
You're the last person I'd ever want to comfort me. Even if we're the only 2 remaining people on Earth.
God, why did my brain conjure that? Because the second she said that, I immediately thought of the whole world being wiped out, and then being the only people left and having to procreate. And then I also thought, like, oh my god, I hope I don't fuck up and they're the only people left alive at the end of this game, because... Here's the thing, I'm not gonna deny... Here's the thing, there's a trope of, like, if they're arguing, they wanna fuck. I don't believe in that trope, but dear God, sometimes that trope is powerful.
Don't flatter yourself.
Okay, have it your way, Daisy.
And stop calling me Daisy! I have a name, you know!
He mutters something inaudible under his breath, although afterwards he doesn't say it any further. For the next minute, he's simply content himself with making a fuss out of the paper napkins, folding them into clean shapes without a clear intent before crumpling them in his hand when he loses interest and dumping them on a small pile in front of him. A waiter serves our meal soon enough, and Kylie makes her way back to our table. Before I can take a single bite, he mutters something. The words spoken in the same tone he used since this morning, all under his breath, whenever the honest parts of him wants to show. Despite my rather confusing opinion of the man, I stop short of shoving food in my mouth to look at him. His eyes are on his food as he speaks, busying himself with cutting a portion of meat on his plate. But what comes out of him only rings true against my ears, above the din of the coffee house.
For what it's worth, Rebecca, I didn't ever think that's all there is to you. Why else would I leave my own goddaughter in your care if you're just some lovesick woman?
He spears a piece of his food and pops it into his mouth, and that's it. One whole day with this man and I still can't figure out what his deal is. But for what it's worth as well, I don't think he's an entirely bad guy. The rest of our meal slips by in silence afterwards. Aside from Kylie's occasional chatter, the whole dinner goes by without another word exchanged between the two of us. Somehow we managed to make it through the whole thing without triggering another tension-riddled conversation. A good thing, perhaps. One, because Kylie's sitting in front of us, and two, probably won't be able to hold a proper conversation with my mind heavy with thoughts. We depart from the coffee house just as the evening crowd starts to thin out. The same wordless silence fills our short walk back to the school. Except for when Luke gestures at a nearby flower shop and enters it without warning for Kylie and I. God. He's trying to not be a douche. He emerges minutes after, carrying a bouquet of daffodils with the same softened expression back on his face. Unlike the previous ones, he tucks this one away as soon as he looks up at us, a moment he's not willing to share. At my confusion, he merely answers with a shrug and continues walking.
For someone important.
I accept it for what it is, if only because he doesn't owe me an explanation. It does leave more questions about him, each one as baffling as the previous ones. I think they're for his mother. I think that Rebecca reminds a lot of people of their mother by the way she acts and everything. So yeah, he was probably reminded of his mother through her and thought about it. Those are the last words spoken this evening before we head on our ways. And up until I arrive home, I still can't understand him. Here, however, a whole different set of questions await me. And much like everything today, it comes with the littlest of things. A lone note greets me upon reaching my unit's door. Its edges flutter lightly against the faint, warm breeze passing through the small complex. My hand stops short of twisting the knob as I stare at it, though I don't make any moves to take it. Dropped by earlier, you weren't around. Any ideas where Scaredy Cat is? I can't contact her. Inspector Abigail has a few questions. LPD stuff. Something about her dead co-workers. Anyway, let me know how the two of you have been doing. I'll see you later. Ash. Winky face. Ash's neat script lines its surface. It actually is neat. I can actually read it. The message he left, short and straight to the point, but without the underlying hint of friendship. He's looking for Isabella, apparently. Something about LPD's investigation of her co-worker's death, but ends its formal tone by checking on me. Us. Any other day, a former part of his message will likely prod at the piercing envy I've been holding, while the latter will probably send my heart aflutter. Let's see, what else happened today? Now, there he looks downright nice. Luke and Kylie invited Rebecca for dinner as she was about to leave. Despite receiving a text from Ashton, Rebecca agreed, and the three spent the evening at a nearby coffee house. Upon returning to her flat, she found a note that Ashton left. Little things from him that I want to mean something more. Yet, this time, only guilt fills me, and my eyes briefly shift toward Isabella's empty unit. Luke's words repeat inside my head as I do so.
For what it's worth, Rebecca, I didn't ever think that's all there is to you. Why else would I leave my own goddaughter in your care if you're just some lovesick woman?
Have I always been like this?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Rebecca, but from everything I've gathered about you, yes, you have. I'm sorry I had to be the one to tell you, the voice in your head. But sometimes you need to listen to the voices in your head. Because sometimes, no, shut up, I'm doing a Let's Play. No, I know you want to talk. I'm sorry, I have to deal with the voices in my head. Give me just a moment. No! You have a point, we're playing a horror game, it could happen. Either way, sorry about that. I had to finish my conversation because someone decided to interrupt me. Either I just scared a shit ton of you, or you're all in on the joke. Hopefully, it's the latter. This selfish. In truth, I've intended to call Ash after that dinner, but if I didn't catch him here, invite him to that party I've planned. There's time. He's still probably awake around this hour. My hand won't move. And perhaps it's for the better. Until I've had the time to think this through, it'll be best if I distance myself from those I've been clinging tightly to. Find a different perspective to see things for what they are. With a soft sigh, I reach for the note and crumple it in my hand. The knob twists open with much ease when I enter this time. Maybe after some introspection, it'll be easier. For tomorrow, I'll have that woman and that mansion to worry about. Alright, the day of the party. And sadly, that is all the time we have for this episode. Boy, my opinion of Luke shifted a lot in this episode. He ain't exactly no Prince Charming, but you know. God, it's funny because a friend of mine, I was telling him about this game, and I was like, yeah, I keep getting attached to these characters. I'm not even trying. I tell him, like, except this one guy, this fucking asshole named Luke. He's a son of a bitch, and I hate him. And my friend goes, hey, you never know. Maybe by the end of the game, you'll probably like him too. Damn you, Roto. Damn you, Roto. Why do you have to be right on this? God damn it. Either way, thank you everybody so much for watching. I appreciate you being here with me. Next time, we're gonna head off to the party and... God, hopefully, maybe, like, my hope is that maybe, like, she and Ashton will, like, find, Marianne, because I want to find Marianne. I want to make sure she's okay, because she's okay right now, but I know she's not going to be after the party. So, yeah, I definitely feel like I need to know, what's happened to her. So, we're going to get to that next time. So, thanks again, and until next time, have yourselves a beautiful day, my beautiful, beautiful viewers.